Sonic's Green Hills Adventure Season 6 Chapter 18 The Deal. The air in the room was suffocating, thick with a dread that even the warmest cocoa couldn't melt. The holographic images of the other Sonics flickered, their expressions grim reminders of the stakes. Regina, who had been standing near the doorway watching the family fracture under the weight of the Xylo comparison, finally stepped forward. Her voice was sharp, cutting through the heavy atmosphere like a blade.
Stop it, all of you. If you sit here trembling, you're doing exactly what he wants. You're letting the fear paralyze you before he even turns on a faucet.
Sonic looked up with hollow eyes.
Regina, you didn't hear what they said. He knows. He's like a monster that eats souls. How do you fight that?
You don't fight it with speed or luck. You fight it with a deal. If this Robotnik is playing with the laws of your world, we need someone who knows how to manipulate the laws of ours. Someone who has spent centuries turning weaknesses into weapons.
She looked at Maddie and Tom, her expression dead serious.
We need to go to Gold, or rather, the man he used to be. Rumpelstiltskin has spent a lifetime making magic out of desperation. If there is a way to anchor your forms to stop the water from triggering the change or to protect you from the dismantling set and mention, he's the only one with a price high enough to buy it.
Shadow stood up, his eyes narrowing as he gripped the back of the sofa.
A deal with the Dark One. You've seen what he's like, Regina. He doesn't do anything out of the goodness of his heart.
I'm not saying it will be free, Shadow, but look at your brother. Look at Anika. Look at Marina. They're terrified. Silver can't even hold his glow. We're out of options, and the crocodile is the only one who has ever successfully outmaneuvered fate itself.
From the link, Hefus Sonic's voice was trembling.
If he can help, if he can stop what happened to my mother from happening to them, then the price doesn't matter. Just be careful. Those who deal in shadows often lose themselves in them.
Marina stood up and took Sonic's hand, her face pale but determined.
We have to try. If we stay here, we're just waiting for the rain. I'd rather face a Dark One than wait for Robotnik to put us in a jar.
Sonic took a shaky breath and nodded.
Okay, let's go. Dad, Mom, stay with Jojo and the others. Shadow, Marina, Silver, Anika. Let's move. We're going to the shop.
The group moved as one, a small circle of vulnerability heading out into the dark streets of Storybrooke. The Council of Sonics stayed active on the handheld link, their silent, flickering faces watching as the 5 marepeople approached the pawn shop. The bell above the door chimed a lonely thin sound as they stepped into the lair of the man who knew every secret, and every price. The bell above the door of Pawn Shop and Antiquities let out a sharp, metallic chime that felt like a death knell in the heavy silence of the night. The shop was a labyrinth of shadows, smelling of dust, old parchment, and the cold metallic tang of ancient magic. Mr. Gold was positioned behind the glass counter, his head bowed as he meticulously polished a small ornate silver chalice. The rhythmic swish-swish of his cloth was the only sound in the room until the 5 of them, Sonic, Shadow, Silver, Anika, and Marina, stepped fully into the light of the flickering overhead lamps. He didn't look up immediately. He simply paused his movements, his eyes remaining fixed on the silver in his hands.
The library was quite a spectacle today. I trust the Blue Angels haven't come to my establishment to ask for a refund on the town's hospitality. I'm afraid I don't handle municipal complaints.
Sonic's voice thin, lacking all of its usual cocky energy.
We're not here about the library, Mr. Gold. We're here because we're out of options.
At the sound of the raw, unfiltered fear in Sonic's voice, Gold finally lifted his head. His eyes, sharp and calculating, swept over the group. He saw the way Shadow was practically vibrating with a protective, grounded fury, the way Silver was huddled into himself, his teal aura completely extinguished, and how Anika was clutching Marina's hand so hard her knuckles were white. Gold sets the chalice down with a soft clink, his interest piqued.
Dear me, you look like you've seen a ghost. Or perhaps a monster.
Shadow stepped forward, his voice a low growl.
Robotnik knows. He saw what happens to us when we touch water. If he finds a way to get us wet, we're immobilized. We're useless. And he's the kind of man who won't just kill us, he'll dismantle us.
Marina's voice was trembling.
Regina said you deal in desperation. Well, look at us. We're 5 merpeople who are 1 rainstorm away from becoming specimens in a lab. Can your magic stop the change? Can you protect our souls from being hollowed out?
Gold leaned forward, his hands resting on the glass. He didn't offer a comforting smile. Instead, he watched them with a look of intense professional curiosity, as if he were appraising a set of rare, fragile jewels that were about to shatter.
So the Predator has found the scent of the blood in the water. You aren't just looking for a shield. You're looking to rewrite the laws of your very nature.
He let out a short, dry chuckle that sent a shiver down Annika's spine.
I can help you, of course. I can weave a veil so thick that not a drop of liquid will ever touch your skin, or perhaps something more permanent. But you must understand the way this world works, children.
He tapped a long manicured finger on the counter, his eyes locking onto Sonic's hollow green ones.
Magic always comes with a price. And for a secret as heavy as the one you're carrying, the bill will be very, very high.
Shadow took a step toward the counter, his air shoes heavy on the creaking floorboards. He wasn't the ultimate life form right now. He was a brother whose world was shrinking down to the 4 people standing behind him. His hands were clenched so tight they were visibly shaking, a rare tremor of pure, unadulterated fear for his family's lives. Shadow's voice was thick with emotion, but steady in its intent.
Wait, before you start naming prices, listen to me. This isn't about the town. It isn't even about stopping Robotnik. He's after us. Specifically the 5 of us. He wants to turn my siblings and Marina into empty shells. He wants to tear our family apart piece by piece.
Gold raised an eyebrow, his eyes glinting.
A touching sentiment, Shadow. But sentiment doesn't pay for high-level protection. You're asking to bypass a biological law of your universe.
Shadow leaned over the counter, his eyes locked onto Gold's, refusing to back down.
I'm not asking for the world. I'm asking for a chance to keep them safe. My brothers, my little sister, Marina, they are everything I have. You know what it's like to want to protect someone more than your own life. You've felt that desperation before, haven't you?
Gold's expression shifted just a fraction, the mask of the businessman flickering as Shadow touched on the Dark One's own history of loss.
I won't let you bleed us dry for a basic right to exist without being hunted. I'm not here to make you a king or give you more power. I'm here because if you don't help us, there will be nothing left of them but data in a machine. Whatever you're thinking of asking, lower it. Not because we're weak, but because you know that a price too high will only leave you with a debt from a family that has nothing left to lose. I'm not taking no for an answer, Gold. Not for them.
Sonic was watching Shadow, his voice trembling.
Shadow.
Gold tapped his finger slowly against the glass, his gaze lingering on Shadow's shaking hands.
You speak with the fire of a teenager who would burn the world down to save his kin. It's a familiar tune. Most people come in here and threaten me. You're simply begging for a fair trade based on the weight of a heart.
Gold let out a long measured sigh, leaning back into the shadows of his shelves.
Very well. Because I see the ghost of a younger, equally desperate person in your eyes, I will hold back the more extravagant costs. But do not mistake my leniency for charity. To anchor 5 souls against the touch of the sea, I will require something of personal value from each of you, something that tethers you to your humanity, a memory, a token, or a promise.
Silver's voice was small.
A memory? You want to take our memories?
Only one. One that you hold dear. A fair exchange for the safety of your future. The choice is yours. Protect your skins, or keep your pasts.
Shadow stood his ground, still shaking, but his gaze never wavered from Gold. He had managed to lower the stakes from a life-altering curse to a personal sacrifice, but the air in the shop remained cold. They were still dealing with the Dark One, and the price of safety was starting to look like a piece of themselves. Shadow's eyes widened, his face pale with a new kind of horror. He knew the depths of Gold's request. He looked at Sonic, who was already starting to tremble, his eyes darting around the dark shop as the word memory echoed in his mind. Shadow's voice was cracking, stepping even closer to the glass.
No, you don't understand what you're asking. If you take a memory from him, if you take the memory of the day he met Dad, or the day he finally felt safe, you're leaving him with nothing but the cave. You'll trap him back in those Montana winters, snowed in, 3 years old and screaming for parents who weren't there. You'd be condemning him to a trauma loop he only just escaped. I won't let you do that to him. I won't.
But the mere mention of the price had already triggered the spiral. Sonic dropped to his knees in the middle of the pawn shop, his hands clawing at his ears as if he could block out the very idea of losing his family again. A raw, ragged wail tearing from Sonic's throat.
No! No, no, no! I don't want to be alone! Please! Not the cave! It's too cold! Mom! Longclaw! Dad! Don't leave me!
He began to rock back and forth violently, his breath coming in sharp, hitching gasps that weren't enough to fill his lungs. He was hyperventilating, his eyes blown wide and seeing the dark, frozen walls of his old sanctuary instead of Gold's shop.
I don't want to be alone! I don't want to be alone! Longclaw! Please! Not again!
Through the interdimensional link, the other Sonics watched in frozen, gut-wrenching horror. They had heard the story Sonic had told them about the 10 years of isolation, the crying himself to sleep, the drawing pictures in the dirt, but seeing him regress into that terrified, 3-year-old version of himself was a blow to their souls. Sad Sonic covered his mouth, tears streaming down his face, while Hefus turned away, unable to watch the light of a brother being extinguished by a memory of a cave. Marina scrambled to the floor, wrapping her arms around Sonic, trying to anchor him.
Sonic! Sonic! Look at me. You're in Storybrooke. You're with us. We aren't going anywhere.
Shadow turned back to Gold, his voice a desperate, broken snarl.
Look at him. Look at what your fair price is doing. You're not taking a memory. You're taking his life. There has to be another way. A different price. Take my strength. Take my years. Take anything else. But don't take the light that keeps him sane.
Gold stood perfectly still, his eyes fixed on the sobbing hedgehog on the floor. For the first time, the cold, calculating mask of the Dark One seemed to waver. The sound of a child wailing for a mother who disappeared was a sound that haunted Gold's own immortal heart. Gold spoke softly, almost to himself.
The boy he is quite literally held together by his bonds. To sever one is to collapse the whole.
Sonic is still spiraling, his cries echoing off the ancient artifacts in the shop. The wails of the blue hedgehog echoed through the cramped, dusty shop, vibrating the glass cases. Sonic's hands were clamped over his eyes, his small frame trembling so violently it looked like he might shake apart.
Dad! Mom! Please! Please don't let him take it! I don't want to go back! It's so dark in the cave! It's so cold! Mom! Help me!
He wasn't calling for the parents he never knew. He was screaming for the humans who had pulled him out of the shadows. To lose the memory of them would be to erase the only warmth he had ever felt. Mr. Gold froze. The silver chalice slipped from his fingers, clattering onto the velvet-lined tray, but he didn't notice. The sound of Sonic's voice, that specific high-pitched desperation of a child begging for a parent, acted like a key in a rusted lock. Suddenly, the pawn shop vanished. For a fleeting, agonizing second, Gold wasn't in Storybrooke. He was back in the enchanted forest, standing in a muddy field, watching a small frightened boy named Balefire being dragged toward a portal. He heard the same wail, the same raw terror of being left alone in the dark. He felt the phantom weight of a hand slipping through his own. He blinked, his breathing hitching as he stared at the shivering boy on the floor. Gold's voice was barely a whisper, devoid of its usual needle-sharp edge.
Balefire?
Shadow's voice was cracking, not even noticing Gold's lapse.
Gold, look at him. He's drowning in his own head. If you do this, you aren't a merchant. You're a monster. You're no better than the machines that hunted him.
Through the interdimensional link, the other Sonics were a chorus of heartbreak. Sad Sonic was sobbing openly, his face buried in his gloves. Hefus Sonic was whispering a prayer in a forgotten language, his glowing eyes dim with the weight of seeing a brother's soul fracture in real time.
No! No! I'll be good! I'll stay quiet! Just don't put me back in the snow! Longclaw, I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
Marina pulled him into her lap, rocking him as he wailed, her own tears soaking into his blue quills.
I've got you, Sonic. I've got you. Shadow, make him stop. Make it stop.
Gold's hand trembled as he reached out, not toward the contract, but toward the space where the boy was spiraling. The memory of his own cowardice of letting Bay go into the unknown alone clashed with the sight of this family fighting to stay together. Gold's voice returned, but it was low and heavy with a strange, somber resonance.
Enough. Stop the boy's suffering. I will not take his memories.
He looked at Shadow, and for once, the Dark One's eyes were filled not with greed, but with a weary, ancient recognition.
I have spent lifetimes trying to undo the moment I let a child's hand slip through mine. I will not be the cause of it happening to another, not tonight.
The pawnshop felt like it was shrinking, the walls closing in as Sonic's wails reached a pitch of pure, agonizing heartbreak. Even with Gold retracting the price, the damage was done. The trauma loop had been triggered, and Sonic was no longer in Storybrooke. He was back in the dark, the sound of the Montana wind howling through the cracks in the cave walls.
It's so cold. Dad, I can't see you. Mom, I'm still here. Please don't forget me in the dark.
Marina pulled him against her chest, her own heart breaking as she felt his tiny frame shuddering.
Sonic, please, listen to my voice. We're here. You're safe.
She looked up at the others, her eyes wide with panic.
He's not coming back. He's stuck.
Sonic, breathe. That's an order, Hedgehog. You aren't in the cave. Look at me.
But Sonic's eyes were rolled back, seeing only the snow and the loneliness. On the interdimensional link, the chaos was even worse. The other Sonics were shouting, their voices a discordant overlap of desperation that only added to the sensory overload in the shop. SatAM Sonic was screaming through the screen.
Sonic, don't let the darkness take you. We're right here. You're not alone, kid. You've got us. You've got the council.
He was clawing at the edge of his screen, wishing he could reach through the pixels to grab his younger self.
Come on, movie. You're the fastest thing alive. Run back to us. Leave the cave behind.
Hefus Sonic's voice was a melodic, grief-stricken hum, trying to project calm.
The stars still shine for you, brother. Focus on the light. Do not let the shadows of the past become your present.
But none of it was working. Silver tried to use a gentle pulse of his psychokinesis to soothe Sonic's nervous system, but the contact only made Sonic scream louder, thinking it was the cold touch of the ice or the mechanical grip of a SWAT bot. Annika was sobbing into Marina's side, her own magic flickering out of control, causing small sparks of starlight to pop painfully in the air.
Longclaw, Dad, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet. Just come back.
His voice cracked, the sound of a child who had spent 10 years thinking his existence was a mistake. He was rocking so hard he was hitting his head against Marina's shoulder, his mantra of,
No, no, no.
becoming a breathless, frantic whisper. Mr. Gold watched the meltdown, his hand still frozen over the counter. He saw the way the family was falling apart around the boy, the way their love was being choked by the sheer weight of his trauma. He looked at the link, seeing the faces of a dozen heroes all rendered helpless by the pain of one little brother. Gold's voice was barely audible over the screaming.
He isn't fighting a villain. He's fighting the void, and the void is winning.
Shadow looked up at Gold, his eyes wet and burning with a terrifying mix of plea and fury.
Do something. You're the Dark One. You have all this power. Fix his head. Stop the loop. I'll give you anything. Just make my brother come back to me.
As the wails reached a glass-shattering frequency, Shadow felt a strange, cold heat bloom in the center of his chest. It wasn't the jagged, aggressive spark of chaos energy he was used to. It was something deeper, a tethered psychic pull. His quills stood on end as he felt a familiar sensation, a ghostly echo of that first night at the G1 facility when he had sensed Sonic's night terrors and subconsciously warped into his cell to hold him. He didn't think. He didn't ask for permission. Shadow closed his eyes, and with a soft teal-black flash, his consciousness dove straight into the storm of Sonic's mind. The world Shadow opened his eyes to was a nightmare of white and gray. A howling Montana blizzard roared through a jagged opening in the rock. The air was so cold it felt like breathing glass. In the corner, huddled behind a pile of old moldy blankets and a single tattered map, was a tiny shivering ball of blue fur. This was Sonic, but not the hero Shadow knew. This was the 3-year-old, his quills messy and dull, his eyes bloodshot from days of crying. This Sonic hadn't met Tom. He didn't know what a donut lord was. He had no siblings. He was just a lost, starving alien in a cold world. Shadow's voice was barely audible over the wind.
Sonic.
The tiny hedgehog shrieked, scrambling further into the corner, his eyes wild with a terror that broke Shadow's heart.
Go away! Don't hurt me! I'll be quiet. I won't run, I promise. Just don't let the snow come in.
Shadow stepped forward slowly, lowering himself to the freezing ground.
Sonic, it's me. It is Shadow. I'm your brother.
I don't have a brother. I don't have anyone. Longclaw said stay hidden. But she's gone. Everyone's gone. It's so cold. I'm so cold.
Shadow realized with a jolt of pain that his presence meant nothing here. In this layer of the psyche, Shadow didn't exist yet. To this version of Sonic, Shadow was just a shadow in the dark. Shadow took a deep breath. He reached back into that primal instinct he'd used in the GUN cell. He didn't try to be a hero. He tried to be a radiator. He began to project a literal physical warmth through his psyche, letting his chaos heart pulse like a steady, glowing furnace. Shadow was singing softly, a low grounding hum.
The wind can't get in here, little one. I'm the wall. I'm the fire.
He crawled closer, not grabbing, just offering. The tiny Sonic watched him, his teeth chattering so hard they clicked. The boy was trapped in the very first winter, the one where he almost gave up.
Are you a monster? Did the bad men send you?
No. I'm the one who's going to make sure the bad men never find this cave. I'm the one who's going to bring you home. Eventually. But for now, you just have to stay warm. Can you do that for me?
Shadow sat in the snow of the mindscape, opening his arms. Back in the pawn shop, Shadow's physical body was slumped against Sonic, both of them glowing with a frantic, pulsing energy that made Mr. Gold back away in shock. Back inside Sonic's mind.
Come here, Sonic. You aren't alone. I've been looking for you for a long time.
The tiny 3-year-old Sonic is staring at Shadow's open arms, torn between his instinct to hide and the desperate need for warmth. Shadow didn't reach for his power. He didn't try to blast the storm away or force the library back into view. He knew that for a child who had been starved of touch for a decade, a miracle wasn't a portal or a spell. It was a pair of arms that didn't let go. Inside the frozen mindscape, Shadow reached out and pulled the tiny, trembling blue blur into his lap. The 3-year-old Sonic stiffened at first, his breath hitching in a terrified sob, but Shadow didn't pull away. He wrapped his arms around the small frame, tucking the boy's head under his chin to shield him from the psychic wind. Shadow's voice was a low, rhythmic vibration.
I've got you. You're not in the snow anymore. I'm right here.
Shadow began to gently rub the base of the little hedgehog's ears. A rhythmic, soothing motion he had learned helped Sonic relax during his worst nightmares. The effect was immediate and heartbreaking. As the warmth of Shadow's chaos heart radiated into the boy's freezing fur, the 3-year-old Sonic let out a sound that wasn't a scream, but a long, broken whimper. He buried his face into Shadow's chest, his tiny hands clenching into fists and grabbing handfuls of Shadow's fur as if his life depended on it. He began to sob with a new kind of intensity, not out of fear, but out of a desperate, overwhelming relief. Little Sonic was choking on his tears, his voice tiny and muffled.
Warm? You're warm? Please, don't go back into the dark. Don't leave me in the cave.
The sensation of physical affection, something he hadn't felt since the last time Longclaw had hugged him goodbye, seemed to crack the frozen shell of the trauma loop. The blizzard outside the cave slowed, the howling wind dropping to a whisper as the psyche began to stabilize around the two brothers.
Never. I'm staying right here until the sun comes up. And when it does, I'm taking you to a place where there's a bed, and a family, and so many marshmallows you won't know what to do with them.
Back in Mr. Gold's shop, the physical bodies of the two hedgehogs began to change. Sonic's frantic rocking slowed, his wails subsiding into hitching, exhausted breaths. Shadow's eyes remained closed, a single tear tracking through the fur on his cheek, but his hold on Sonic was unbreakable. Marina and Annika watched in stunned silence, their own hearts racing as they saw the glow around the two brothers shift from a jagged, frantic teal to a soft, steady gold. Even the Council of Sonics on the link had gone quiet, watching the silent, sacred moment of a brother reaching through time to save himself. Mr. Gold was leaning back, his voice uncharacteristically soft.
He's found him. He's pulled the boy out of the snow.
Sonic's eyes fluttered, the terror fading as he started to come back to the present, grounded by the steady rubbing of his ears and the unshakable weight of Shadow's arms. Inside the howling center of Sonic's mind, the blizzard had transformed into a soft, falling snow. The jagged edges of the cave blurred as Shadow continued to hold the tiny version of his brother. He didn't move, he didn't rush, and he didn't demand that Sonic wake up. He simply sat in the psychic cold and became the anchor the little hedgehog had lacked for 10 long years. Shadow began to hum. It wasn't a song of battle or a grand anthem of the stars. It was a low, rhythmic lullaby, a melody that felt as old as the Chaos Emeralds themselves, steady and unwavering. Shadow was humming softly, the vibration resonating through both their chests. The little Sonic's grip on Shadow's fur loosened slightly, his tiny fingers uncurling as his sobbing slowed to a sleepy, rhythmic hiccup. The warmth of the ear rubbing and the steady hum was doing what no speed or power could. It was rewriting the memory of that first winter. In this version of the story, Sonic wasn't alone. In this version, someone came back for him. Little Sonic whispered, his eyes half closed as he nuzzled into Shadow's white chest fluff.
You're like the sun. The sun came into the cave.
The sun is always there, Sonic, even when the clouds hide it. And I'm not going anywhere. Close your eyes. When you open them, the snow will be gone.
Back in the pawn shop, the physical Sonic's head finally came to rest against Shadow's shoulder. The frantic tension in his quills bled away, leaving him limp and exhausted. Shadow's humming was audible now, a ghost of a sound echoing off the ancient artifacts in Gold's shop. The Council of Sonics watched in reverent silence. Sad Sonic wiped his eyes, a small tired smile touching his lips. He knew that the boy on that floor had just been given the one thing every version of them had ever needed. The knowledge that the darkness doesn't get to win. Marina leaned her forehead against Sonic's arm, letting out a breath she felt like she'd been holding for an eternity. She could feel the psychic connection between the two brothers, a bridge of gold and black that was stronger than any curse Robotnik could conjure. Mr. Gold watched them, his fingers tracing the edge of the silver chalice he had been polishing. The sight of Shadow protecting his brother's soul with nothing but a lullaby seemed to weigh on the Dark One, a reminder of the price of power versus the value of a bond. Gold spoke a mere whisper.
Safe. At last.
Shadow felt the psyche of the 3-year-old begin to merge back into the 15-year-old Sonic. The cave was dissolving, replaced by the warmth of the shop and the scent of Marina's perfume. With one final gentle rub of Sonic's ears, Shadow prepared to pull them both back to the surface. Shadow's eyes slowly opened, the teal-black glow of the psychic link fading as he returned to the physical world. He was still cradling Sonic, who was now limp, breathing deeply and peacefully in a sleep born of sheer emotional exhaustion. Shadow didn't let go. He simply shifted his weight and looked up at Mr. Gold with eyes that were no longer burning with rage, but with a weary, absolute conviction. Shadow's voice was low, echoing in the quiet shop.
You saw it. You felt it. That is what's at stake. No memories. No trauma loops. We need a way to stay in our true forms even when we're wet. And we need it without breaking the person we're trying to save.
Gold looked at the sleeping Sonic, then back at Shadow. The image of the boy wailing for a father who wasn't there still hung in the air, a ghost that Gold couldn't quite shake. He walked slowly around the counter, his cane clicking softly on the floorboards.
The boy's spirit is a fragile thing held together by the very memories I almost took. I am a man of my word, and as I said, I will not be the cause of that light going out, not for a price and not for a whim.
He stopped in front of them, looking down at the 5 of them, the hedgehogs, the little sister, and the girlfriend.
If you wish to anchor your forms, you don't need to give up your past. You need to tether your future. I have 5 enchanted charmed silver scales from a leviathan that never knew the shore. If you wear them, the water will slide off your skin like oil. It won't trigger the change unless you will it to happen.
Silver's hope flickered in his voice.
And the price? You said it wouldn't be free.
The price is a favor. A simple, open-ended favor to be called upon at the time of my choosing. No memories stolen, no souls crushed. Just a debt between a family and a merchant.
Shadow looked at the others. A favor for the Dark One was a heavy gamble, but compared to the Xylo nightmare they had just escaped, it was a bargain they would take every time.
Deal. Give us the charms.
With a flick of Gold's wrist, 5 shimmering silver-blue pendants appeared on the counter. Shadow reached out and took them, tucking them safely away. The debt was sealed. The sitting ducks now had armor. The walk back to the bed and breakfast was silent. Shadow carried Sonic in his arms, the blue hedgehog's head lolling against his shoulder, fast asleep. Marina walked closely on one side, Silver and Annika on the other, forming a protective perimeter. The Council of Sonic stayed on the link until they reached the porch, their voices quieted to a respectful hum. Satyam, Sonic whispered.
You did good, Shadow. You got him back. Get some rest. All of you. We'll be watching the scanners tonight.
Shadow nodded to the screen and closed the link. They stepped inside where Tom and Maddie were waiting, their faces etched with worry. As soon as they saw Sonic asleep in Shadow's arms, the tension in the room broke. Maddie whispered, rushing over.
Is he okay? What happened?
He's safe, Mom. He went back to the cave for a while. But I brought him home. He just needs to sleep.
Shadow carried him upstairs, followed by the others. He laid Sonic down on his bed, pulling the thick, soft blankets up to his chin. Marina sat on the edge of the bed, stroking Sonic's quills, while Shadow stood by the window, looking out at the rainy Storybrooke night. For the first time, he wasn't afraid of the water. He was just ready. The house settled into a deep, healing quiet. The trauma of the day was tucked away, and for tonight, the merpeople safe, dry, and together. Sonic is safe in bed and the charms are secured.